So I've been a little busy doing so much carving that it's time for me to get some painting done. And this is just showing you the various stages that I'm at right now with the painting process. And what I try to do, red always is the Santa color, of course. So I've got all these guys painted up in red. I usually block that in first. This is a little Santa. He's got a different type of beard. I thought I'd try something a little bit different. And here's an example of that beard when it's painted, sort of a variation on that. Turns out pretty good. Something a little different. And he's going to be holding a bag like that, and I put a little, laid down the brown first, and then I took a little bit more of this burnt umber, and I kind of brushed it in just for a little bit of a shadow effect. And then I'm going to do something with the stitching around that S for Santa. He's got a little train, he's got a teddy bear, and some gifts down at the bottom, and he's got a little bit of hair up here. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. Just kind of depends on how it goes when you're carving. The Santa's, I kind of like this look. He was carved out of a solid block, so there's no pieces that were cut or added in or anything like that. So quite a bit of work on the removal side down here, but they look really good when they're done. He's got the eyebrows and everything there with a sort of like a look like he's waiting for Christmas. It's coming, don't worry, it's coming. Then back here, that's another variation on that beard that I showed you. Kind of get a look at that. You know, the wood that I carved, in this case, it was 4x4. So you have to kind of figure out, what are you going to do with that? You know, without piecing another bit of wood into it. So I decided, well, I'm going to have him looking up with sort of like a look up to Christmas, and he's going to have the presents stacked on his left side, and he's holding a teddy bear. Over here on the other side, and this is a another different look. He's a little bit bigger. Back the camera up so you can see him. But I carved Mary down there, and then I've got you know, the holly coming along nicely, and I'm going to do probably a little black background, gold, something like that. I have to figure that out. And he's got a little lantern that he's walking with. Kind of a nice size on that Santa. And then a little late for Halloween here, but I decided to carve. Now this is out of white cedar here, so you can see the growth rings. And white cedar is a little difficult to work with because I do use a wood product, which I'll put in the notes. I'm trying this for the first time, this wood product, that you paint on, and it keeps the wood from splitting. Because whenever you've got this ring, you know, this log end, it just wants to split to relieve the pressure. So far, this one's hanging in there. So she's a chubby witch is what she's going to be, with her hands on 3 pumpkins. She's got a little bit of a double chin. And here's another piece of white cedar that I carved. And as you can see, he's still hanging in there. There's no splits, but with white cedar, you just never know when you're going to get a split. It's just becomes part of the carving. And for this little guy, sometimes I'll use like a Dremel tool with a bit on it, and I'll grind through these knots, and they're a pain in the butt, really. And cedar's full of them, you know, as you know, especially white cedar. So in this case, I just kind of thought about it, and I said, you know what, I could use this like that, and I'll just make him sort of like leaning up on the hill with his hand in his pocket, and that's what he's doing. So I kind of worked around that little knot. And here's another Santa, kind of a nice little beard. Gonna have a nice look. He's got some wet brown paint, and I'm gonna go back and add a little bit of shadowing like I did with the burnt umber. Here's another tall Santa. coming up here. He just has the word Mary carved in the bottom. A little flourish like that, holding a lantern. I think he'll turn out pretty good. Then I've got this guy. He's holding a star, looking up, like he's just getting ready to embark on some sort of a journey. And he's sort of standing on this box, which is like sort of like a Christmas box. I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do on the top of it. But you know, all these things take a lot of time, you know, as you can imagine. But they look nice when they're done. All these details add to the carving, like that holly trim. He's got a little cardinal there, standing on a snowy perch. All these details do take time, but I normally like to paint in groups of 5, but as you can see, I'm sort of overwhelmed here. So hours go by, and you kind of look back and you're like, okay guys, what have I done? And they're still looking at you like, keep going, keep going. But this is part of it, so this is why I haven't been posting anything as far as carving goes, because I'm catching up on all of this painting, trying to get these guys finished.